So my goal is to make someone who is not Singaporean have a peek into what living in the heartlands is like. From going down to a dingy elevator to visiting a mama shop, or sort of like a small provision shop, buying old school snacks, that kind of thing. What I want to portray is a more genuine side of Singapore, instead of the flawless Singapore often being seen in mainstream media. And through my photography, I hope to show people the everyday functions, the everyday interactions, and everyday culture of this sunny island. For me, Singapore is definitely not about the glitz and the glamour. So it's the small little things that stands out to me, like the culture of reserving a table at a hawker centre with a packet of tissue paper, our love for McDonald's garlic chilli sauce, the childhood snacks like ice jam biscuits that Singaporeans are familiar with. These are the little things that I find are quintessentially very Singaporean, and I feel that everyone has a different story behind all these different items. We sometimes take a lot of these things for granted, but everybody has a connection to all these things. My role as a photographer is about finding the magic in these everyday, very common items, photographing them in a different context, to exaggerate them and putting them in the limelight. And I feel that it's all these little things that we see every day that connects us with home. I started doing the Singaporean Tribute Project back in 2014. It was just a way to express the Singaporean in me and express my connection with Singapore. So it started off with me doing something more of a typical fashion shoot, but I realized I wanted to show more of Singapore than it's just the tourist attractions, so that we recognize Singapore not through the skyline, but more so the everyday objects from our daily scenes. And in 2016, Jabo came along, and it's actually inspired by Henry Kirsten's portraits of his daughter, and it became a turning point for me. For Jabo, I picked a place that people pass by every day, the old letterboxes, and I also used the everyday objects as props. And the props became a way for me to create a connection with the audience to relate back to Singapore. Like the Good Morning Towel, which is kind of like the symbol of hard work, the Malayan symbol plastic bags that you get, the brown paper packaging when you take away food from the hawker centres. Through the works, I've come to realize that these are icons and heritage of Singapore. They represent Singapore as much as our famous skyline and hawker centres. The best thing to happen is if someone look at the work and recognize that this is Singapore. So how I create an idea involves a lot of mashups, but it always begins with a spark. Like the Modulars, which came about with my best friend and I, our shared love for superhero comics. I remember back in 2018 when there were a lot of Marvel movies, so we thought like, hey, what would the Singaporean superhero be? What we did was to reimagine all these Singaporean traits and characteristics and putting them together into superheroes. And then reimagining how this bunch of Avengers could be like if they were Singaporeans. So we have a main character who can choke tables with tissue paper. She can choke any table she wants because she has super fast speed. And because Singaporeans must eat things with sauces. So we thought of like a character that can control all the sauces in the world. Things like a parking coupon auntie, the one that would go to your car and give you a fine if you don't put your parking coupon properly. Yeah, so various characters putting it all together and then forming this whole Singaporean Avenger team. So the Modulars to me was to celebrate these mundane, everyday Singaporean traits and to be proud of them and make it art and make it fun. So this new idea that I was working on is largely based on our current situation right now, and it's kind of like an ode to the vaccination centres in Singapore. I just wanted to take a little piece of the journey through the vaccination process and make it into something that will kind of make people remember the very quick process that we went through during our vaccination. This is kind of like my version of all the empty chairs you see at vaccination centres. So I grew up in the heartlands, and I kind of see things a bit differently. All these little things, the nostalgic things that I came across when I was younger, somehow came back as inspiration. So when I see all these day-to-day items, I thought of channeling them in a more creative way by making them a bit funnier or more quirkier. And when the audience sees it in their own way, hopefully they'll have their own connection to the artwork. So for me, photography has been a way to express myself better and also to appreciate the things in life that I see. So at the end of the day, through photography, I'm trying to express myself, and part of what I'm trying to do is to express that this is a place I call home.